Crafty Concepts with Erin. That is what it is. Crafty Concepts with Erin. And she does great YouTube videos of her scrapbook pages. And that is where I got the idea for this page. So first I'm going to start with just a tiny little strip down at the bottom. I think I'll do each page kind of at the same time here. So I'm going to add that onto the bottom. I liked how it kind of gave the idea of grass along the bottom. And I'm going to add the same thing on both pages. And you'll see this one's even ripped, but I grabbed it on purpose because it didn't matter. It's going to be covered up. And then next, I have some of the beautiful paper with the trees and the deer on there. And a lot of my photos have deer on them. That's why I went with this paper. And the same on this one. And then that's just the back of that paper. I'll give you the measurements here in just 1 minute. Once I get them all on, I will give you the measurements in case you want to recreate this layout. So Erin's was also outdoorsy photos, but she used some different product. And then I've grabbed just some misty moonlight, and that's going to go at the top here, and that's going to be my sky across the background. I'm going to use a bit more adhesive on this just because of that texture. I tried it just plain, and then I thought some embossing on there would look pretty. Now, when you emboss that full sheet, it actually makes your paper a little bit bigger. So I'm going to have to trim some of that off. And I was going to show you the embossing folder that I used. And I forgot to look to see if this is current, but I think it is. I used this one. So I did the first portion right there, and then I turned it around, put it back in, and you just want to make sure that when you line this up in your machine, that your plate doesn't go right to the edge, and that will keep you from getting a harsh line. If you put your plate right to the edge of your embossing folder, it's going to push down right there and create a line on your page, which isn't always a huge deal, but when you want to do the full 12 inches across, you don't want to have a big line right down the center. Like, you can see where it's meshed together, but it doesn't have like a harsh line there. So that's how you do that. Just keep your top plate back from the very edge. And then I have a smaller piece for this one because we're going to put some other things there, so you're not going to see it all. So I just grabbed a smaller piece. just going to pull that down for a second so I can make sure I get it lined up. You can see that one. There we go. Now my iPad's working. It's just very slow today. So I'm just going to trim off that extra trimmer over here. I could even just use my scissors for this one, but I've got it here now, so. And there's a tiny bit on this one. Oh, I didn't get very straight along the top, did I? There we go. This one here and this one on this side. Move this over a little bit more now so that you can see both of those. So I decided to do a little scene across the top, which is the same as what Erin did on hers. That's where I got the idea. She used some different dyes though. So this dye is what comes from the autumn trees. It's this one here, and I've just run it through on a 12-inch paper. I'm just going to tell you what these are. So we've got 1 inch of the green, and then 5 inches of the trees, and then 2 inches of the early espresso. So then that leaves 4 inches for the blue. So yeah, I ran this dye through, and these dyes, Stampin' Up! Has been making more of these kind of style where they don't cut along the bottom or the edge. So then you can carry on the dye all the way across your page like I've done here. So I've just lined it up and then put it through again, then took it out, moved my dye over, lined it up, and put it through again. So it goes across the full length of our 12 by 12 layout. So that's what I've done for that one. And then the Scenic Adventure dies are the same. We have our mountainscape here, and that one does the same. It just cuts along the top, but it doesn't cut along the bottom. So I've just set it down on my paper, run it through, and then moved it over and ran it through again. And I did that 3 times for that one as well. And then the tree die is the same idea. It doesn't cut along the bottom, so you can make it as wide as you need, and you can run it all the way through. This die here also does that as well. I didn't use that one, but if you want some little bushes. And then the same for this one, which I do use, we're going to use later on this one. It's just some little flowers there, but it doesn't cut the bottom, so you can make it as wide as you need on the bottom, and then you can repeat the pattern. These dies are current. The Scenic Adventure, the dies, and the stamp set. So I'm going to bring this one over a little bit. Kind of got my mat crooked on my screen. My phone must be a little bit crooked. Yeah, so I'm going to lay this down here, and then I'm going to lay my trees down, and then my deer over top. So I have these little bits, and this is actually the opposite, like it's just the extra cut out. And if you flip it over, it just makes trees the same. So I thought I would just add it behind for a little bit of extra, little extra trees there in the background. in some places the bush will be a little thicker. So I'm not sure which set Erin used, but hers also had mountains, but it was not these mountains. So I'm not really too sure which set she used. But this is kind of just perfect for our vacation because we're in the mountains. I was hiking in the mountains and then I saw tons of deer, so I thought that one was perfect as well. Oh, and then that one I did backwards. Whoopsie. Oh. He's stuck to my finger. I'm going to lay that down on my mountains. I'm going to go up a little ways because my deer can come down and cover that little bit. And then I'm going to put my mountains down. And I didn't put any glue behind my mountains, so I could even just pop those up a little bit to add a little bit of dimension on my page. And I think I will do that with my deer. I'm just going to use some mini dimensionals. Pop them up. I'm just covering up just a smidge of that top cut of my paper because it just didn't look nicely finished. So there we go. Now I thought about doing the same thing on this side. That's what Erin's was. She had this mountainscape going all the way across, but I decided to do something different. I want to put Virginia across here in my very large dies. I'm just drawing a blank at what they're called. These ones here. Party alphabet dies. That's right. They come, there's some coordinating party banner dies that also go with it, but I just got the alphabet. So I wanted to spell out Virginia, and it fits perfectly across my page. So I decided to make this landscape on just a piece of paper, and then cut my letters out of the landscape. So that's just my my garbage piece. But I thought I would just show you. You can kind of see here. There's the top of the deer's ears there. So I've just made this and I glued it down really, really well so that if I had some little pieces here, like I had to remember to glue behind there so that that wouldn't fall out after I cut it apart. So I'm going to put Virginia across here, and my landscape is built right in to my letters. I thought that looked so pretty. I have used some pecan pie ink and just blended around those. Before I adhere that though, I'm going to put my photos on, just so that I get it all in the right spot. Oh. So I have a photo printing app on my phone, Epson Create or something. It suggested it when I put in what kind of printer I had. And it printed off a whole 11 by 8.5 page of square photos for me. So I've used most of them on my layouts today, and then I had a few left over to use on my next layout. Let me see if I can fix that. It's bothering me that it's so crooked on the screen. So I just matted them on some vanilla, and I actually matted 6 on here. And then once I got going, I had lots of photos here and lots here, and I thought, oh, where am I going to put my journaling? So I just used my Cricut spatula and just pulled up the one photo and put my journaling here, and then I'll use that other photo on my next layout. I do have a blank space on this one, but I have some other things I want to put over top. Like I want to put this photo here over top, and then just some embellishments here. So I didn't want to put my journaling there. I knew I would need a full block for my journaling for this. So I did pop up my journaling just so that it kind of stands out a bit. So I'm going to go ahead and lay these down. I do have a few things that will be tucking in, so I'm just not going to go too close to the edges. So the whole family went down to West Virginia. And our initial purpose for going was a Zach Bryan concert. But we thought, since we're making the hike anyway, we're traveling a little bit of a distance, we thought we'd go a few days early, and the kids and my husband went riding dirt bikes. I don't ride though, so I was hiking while they were riding. So we stayed in a campground that had lots of trails for them to ride on. And then it wasn't very busy. We were there during the week. So then I was able to just hike on the trails. They're fairly big trails because they have a lot of people bring their side-by-sides there. Here I'm hiking just down on the riverbed. It's super dry. There was no water in it. But it was quite the hike because I had to go down the mountain and then back up, and then I went around through some trails, and then I had to go down the mountain back up again to get back to the other side. But there were so many deer in this park, and I guess because of they're used to the noise from the bikes, they weren't super scared. They would just kind of stand around. These ones are in the forest, and those we were driving by. But they would just kind of stand there and let you take their picture. But now if I started to walk towards her, she obviously would run away. But these ones, this one and this one, came right up to the back of our campsite. I think the guy beside us fed them sometimes because they like to go to his campsite. Oh, I might have put that over a little bit far. Yeah, I kind of did. So I can see it's not centered. Let's see if I can pull this up. We'll bring in the ruler. Guess we'll have to measure this time. Right about here. Looks centered. And then that'll give me a little bit more space for my embellishment cluster. That's better. Okay. Oh, where'd all my letters go? Maybe I'll put my letters down next. So I do have to be careful to use the correct eye because like this one has the bum for the baby. I'm just going to move this over a bit while I put these letters down, and then I'll do that part after. So this one I don't have quite in the center either, but my bigger embellishment cluster is on this side, and then I have a small one here, so it's going to work out. Alrighty, so we do have 8 letters, but we have 2 eyes on this side, so you're going to need it a little bit that direction. And I think that looks right about right. I'm just thinking, do I want to pop it up? Okay, well, I'm so happy with how they turned out. I really want them to stand out on my page. So because I have some lines on this early espresso paper, I can kind of line my letters up with that. That's kind of nice. Sticking onto my fingernail. I absolutely love these dies. The ones that you can make the scenes with. It's really neat. I don't really remember us having ones like that before. We probably have, but I don't remember. And I've had this set, the Scenic Adventure. I've had it sitting on my desk for a long time and haven't used it. So as I mentioned, we were in West Virginia. Well, actually, this campground here was right on the border between Virginia and West Virginia. We actually crossed the line, the state line, like just in the laneway. So it was that close to the border. But I do have some smaller letters come out, or cut out, pardon me, to put West at the top there. So many of these little dimensional backings everywhere. I have to vacuum them up. They are kind of sticky because some of the glue came out around the deer. There we go. I'm going to go ahead and work on this page because I've got it kind of centered here in front of me. Maybe I'll do my West first. So I've got some clouds here to put up in the sky. And then I'm going to put West on top of this bigger cloud. And then I have left my heart in, so at the top there. This is just, well, it's recollection, so it came from Michael's. And I just grabbed this stamp here. I couldn't fit I left my heart in my little die cut there, so I just didn't ink up the I. I just put it as left my heart in. All right, so I'm going to adhere this cloud. It's going to go right there. I'm just going to use a little bit of green glue. I lose my T. Oh, there it is. And our green glue, you just need a tiny little bit. That's probably more than I need. And these letters are from our mini alphabet. I think that's what they're called. It looks pretty straight. They had lots of trails at this campground. and lots of different difficulty levels, which is nice because the girls are newer riders. Both my husband and my son both started riding when they were like 3 or 4 years old, so they have more experience than the girls. But there was some harder trails, and then there was some easier ones as well, so that was kind of nice. It was also nice for hiking as well. The easier trails generally were flatter, and the harder trails were the ones that kind of went up and down along the mountains. Just wondering if that looks straight. Oh, I should get tell by my lines. Yeah, it does. It looks straight there. Okay. So then I've cut out using the stylus shapes. I did a couple circles here. That one I put a little bit. There we go. Too much adhesive. That's going to go there. And I've cut out Taking the Scenic Route, which came from Weekend Adventures. And that is still current as well. Taking Scenic Route. It's the one that has the scrapbooking kit. And the scrapbooking kit, I just checked, it's still available as well. And I did grab just a couple little elements. The Let's Hike, that came out of this kit. Just a couple things that worked, because the colors are very similar in this kit and in this paper. So it worked. That's going to go down here. And then I've cut out a little deer. He is not current. She is retired. The Peaceful Deer set. This is an older one, but I hung on to them because they're super cute. So she's going to go there, and then I did cut out a couple trees, which came from the Scenic Adventure guys. These trees, I did a couple of the big ones for both sides, and then I did a small one for both pages as well. And then my flowers here came from this die, and I've just cut it in half. And then put a few flowers on either side. And I just glued those on the back. And the flowers I cut out in vanilla, and then I just used my blending, no, not my blending brushes, my blends, my alcohol markers. And I just colored the green and the blue on there to coordinate. Okay, so I'm going to put this down. That's going to tuck under there. And that was from the Stylus Shapes dies. And we'll put my trees on next, I think. Keep setting that down in a different spot. That's going to lay over top there like that. So she's going to go there. And then this ribbon here, this is part of the suite as well. And I wasn't sure about it at first, but I actually really like it. It just adds some really great texture. It's not one that you probably would tie a bow with, but it works great for this. So I've just folded it in half, and then this is in the, I can't remember if it's in the new catalog or if it's an online exclusive, I forget, but these two came together, Early Espresso and Old Olive linen thread. So I just grabbed some of the Early Espresso and tied a bow around there, and that's just going to go on the back here. I'm going to use a glue dot. I'm just going to stick that right on the bow, and then she will go on there like that. And then I will put a glue dot, or a dimension, pardon me. There's nice. Because I've got so much dimension with my bow, I wouldn't be able to put her on flat. You have to use some dimensionals there. Where I want her. Yeah. I'll use dimensionals on this as well. I'm just going to cut some of the little edges here. And then I just wanted a little cluster right here. So I've cut the smallest circle in the Stylish Shapes dies. That's going to tuck in here to add a little bit of Misty Moonlight. And then I've got one of the smaller trees. That's going to go there. Maybe I'll use a glue dot. That might be the easiest way. And then I just have like a little chipboard arrow, and this actually was just in my stash. I think it might have come actually from close to my heart. I'm not sure. So there, I've got blue here, a little bit of blue here, and of course the blue there. So that creates your visual triangle. And the same with like the pecan pie. This is close to pecan pie. And then the pecan pie and the deer. Sometimes it's hard to get this on straight when you're not like looking right down at it. Looking at it from a ways back. And the same with the green. We have green here, and then of course lots of green up at the top. Okay. I'm going to trade these two out and work on this one. So yeah, my photo is going to go here. And then I needed some blue. So I used that stamp out of this set and just put it on another one of those little blue circles. And that just added in just a touch of blue there. So because I've got that dimensional on that deer, I would have to pop up the whole thing, which means I have to pop this up and this. I want to do that. I guess I could. So I don't want any there, right where that one is. Put it on this side. This video is a bit longer. Thought it would be when I have the two layouts to do. And then of course it would be the day that I can't get my internet working properly. So I thought I'll bring it down just enough so that her head pops over top, so that you can see it goes all the way across. There's just a little tab showing there. I don't want to cover up too much of my picture. But I don't think I want it overlapping both of them. Kind of looks awkward. I think just like that. And then put a little bit of flat adhesive there. And dimensional there. That's probably enough. And this, I guess I don't need to pop this up. I can tuck it underneath my photo. And put it just on a smidge of an angle so that you can see that end for north. And then I have a little tree. And I did use a blending brush and just blend some mossy meadow around the edges of my trees. And then I have, when I printed out my journaling, I printed my date out as well. And then I've used that same die to cut it. This die came from the, oh, it was one of the Father's Day sets. I guess actually I'm going to need dimensionals on there. I forget the name of it now, but it is retired. There we go. Thought that would be a good way to add the date. I have some more clouds that I'm going to add in here. This big one, I think I'm going to kind of tuck it underneath the mountain. These clouds, these particular ones came from the Give It a Whirl dies, which is retired as well. But there's usually some clouds in just random sets, like some of the animal sets, the dies will come with clouds. I've got some more trees over here. I don't think I adhered this. No, I didn't. trees are going to go there. And then I made this little embellishment cluster. Nature Walk came from the Weekend Adventures scrapbooking kit. And then there I've cut out some of those flowers again. And then I did a couple sets of mushrooms, which came from the Terrific Toadstools. And that one is current as well. That's going to go there because I thought it kind of went with those mushrooms. And then I've created another one of those little ribbons, and that's going to go under there as well. So I'm just going to stick a glue dot on there, right in the center of my bow again. So after I got this embellishment cluster done, I thought, well, it doesn't really have any of the browns in it. It was all just green and blue and vanilla. So I brought that ribbon in to bring in some of the brown. I'm going to pop this up. And then we are pretty much finished. There we go. Okay. Done. So the suite does come with some embellishments there. I'm not 100% sure if I need them. I could add a few around my embellishment clusters, I suppose. It's kind of a busy layout, so I don't want, whoops, I wasn't sure. But maybe we could kind of tuck some here. That looks nice. I do like that. I don't know if I should put some on this side. One up here. Over here maybe. Draw your eye around the date. I don't know about this side. I really like these embellishments. I believe they're called streaked dots. Yeah, they have like just some little, almost like crack lines, and like it looks like they're kind of cracked. There we go. Hopefully that's kind of centered for you. Takes a while for my iPad to catch up. All right, so about an hour to get those 2 pages together. Let me know if you like these ones, and thank you so much for watching, and until next week, have a good day. Bye.